We recording?
Yeah.
Oh shit, okay. Alright, well, welcome to the Passionfruit podcast. I'm the proclaimed host, Caden, and to my left is Emily.
I'm Jonathan,
I'm Tanner.
and this is
The
Passionfruit
Podcast. Yeah, this is... Oh.
We don't know what
So,
oh my gosh, we can make bloopers.
yeah, we probably could.
Bloopers.
You're gonna have some editing to do,
Bloopers
John.
show.
Yeah, sorry.
At least you know what you're doing, John, because I don't.
Yeah, we could.
Alright, let's get and go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What are we doing first?
We should just start off by, saying why we're doing this and the
It's
intention.
an English project.
Yeah, it's an
Yeah.
English project. And the name Passionfruit kind of came from me sitting on the toilet and being like, we need to figure out a name for this. Passion Project, because that's the name of the English project. It's like, Passion Fruit. And I said it in the group chat, and no one said anything. So here we are.
Better idea, so that's what we went with.
Yeah. So I guess we can just jump into some would you rathers to start off the podcast. Get the
Alright,
juices flowing.
let's get it flowing.
I do have the would
Let's
you
get the
rathers.
passion
Keep
going.
the energy
Yeah,
high.
let's kick this passion podcast. Okay. So, would you rather have chewy or crunchy cookies?
Chewy.
Chewy for sure.
It depends. It
Who
depends.
eats crunchy cookies?
No,
Crunchy?
it really does depend.
Because the thing with crunchy cookies, you get crumbs all over you.
Yeah, I always
But
eat
it-
Sometimes it's
cookies
worth
in
it.
the wrong
Sometimes
setting.
It's
not really
worth
fun.
it.
I like crunchy cookies if I have a nice
Alright.
cold glass of milk.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
I
because
don't
you
know.
dip it in there and it gets like the perfect texture.
Yeah, but also
You
like
guys are insane.
chewy cookies are just
But
like
chewy cookies
undercooked hard
Like
cookies.
fresh, you're right, but they're chewy.
Yeah.
I'm rocking with chewy.
It's like slightly undercooked,
Yeah, that's
fresh
true. I
baked
mean,
cookies.
Sometimes I like them kind of burnt. I don't know.
yeah,
You
burnt
like
cookies
them
do hurt. Hit
Hurt.
different. They hurt different. Okay, so
Next one.
yeah, would you would you rather be thrown into a pit with an angry Rottweiler or a calm lion?
Calm lion? What the fuck?
Probably a calm lion because we just bond.
Well, problem with the lion situation is that like you just take one step towards it and it bites your head off.
So then don't take one
But
step
you said
towards
the lion was calm.
Take one step away.
You said
from
the
Right,
lion-
but it isn't gonna always be calm. It's
But if
So
you
then-
just sit there silently and still, then it will,
Yeah.
there's a slight chance.
but I feel like to get out of the pit, like you're not just gonna live in the pit. You're gonna have to fight whatever is down there to win.
Caden, your dog literally bit me in the ass earlier. I don't want to deal with
Hey
that.
man, all I'm saying,
Our first bleep.
I
There's been like that's like the third.
That's the second time I
It
swore.
is.
I already done that.
But I don't know, an
I
angry
think I'm more
Rottweiler,
excited to watch the bloopers.
that could mess someone's day up. But also, I don't
You're right,
know.
but so could a lion.
Oh, that's true. I
Fight a
could
lion?
I could square up
was
to a
so
Rottweiler.
Okay.
That's probably
Do you
not
have a gun? That's the question. Do you
though.
have
That
a
is the
gun?
question. If you have a gun, I would probably take the Rottweiler. But also the lion. If it was calm, it would just be
If
sitting.
you have
just
a gun, then what's the point of this? Just shoot whatever you got.
I don't want to shoot a dog. I don't know.
But if we had a gun, it would be easier to kill the calm lion. Because it's calm. It's just looking
would
at
just-
you. And
Bang, bang, bang,
With
bang,
the
bang, bang, bang,
Rottweiler,
bang.
you can just, while you're being thrown into the pit, you're like, bang.
yeah. Which is probably why
Isn't
they
that
wouldn't
nice
give you a
of a
gun
question?
in the pit.
Yeah, I feel like that deters the purpose.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then how do you get out of the pit?
By
after you've
beating
killed
either
those
the
things?
How
calm-
deep is the pit?
True.
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. But anyways, moving on from the pit. Would you rather lose the ability to speak or lose the ability to walk?
Walk.
I've always said that if
Actually, no. I'd rather lose the ability to speak because I can learn like silently.
So
Yeah.
am I allowed to get like specific here? So
Go ahead.
why am I not able to walk? Do I not have legs?
You're
or they-
paralyzed. You got into a severe
So
no,
I'm
car
you just
accident.
one day you woke up and you took the sheets off and your legs were gone.
Okay. I'm gonna go with that. You can get a new pair of legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get the
I guess.
prosthetics.
Yeah, get the prosthetics.
A wheelchair.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like not speaking would
I could be
get
like
old,
that
but-
one comedian who just has one leg and milks the
Yeah.
hell out of the fact that he doesn't have a leg.
Milks
Milks the hell out of the fact. I was trying not to
I mean,
swear,
yeah,
but I had to.
You could just like lose both your legs and just be like, yo, so I woke up and didn't have legs, and they laugh.
And then just have
And at least you would still be able to talk and tell your story.
That's true.
the only issue is everyone's gonna be asking you. So how do you go to the bathroom?
I hired someone for that.
I don't know. I'm just thinking about maybe not, because I'm just thinking about all the things I do in my day and how it would be much harder to do those things if I couldn't walk around.
I wouldn't be a pilot,
I've-
so I'd have to find a new gig. But
I've
Like,
always
I also
thought,
say
like, if I
sometimes-
lost the ability to walk, if I was paralyzed, I just wouldn't want to live. Like, I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, either
but-
way, I'd be like depressed.
Yeah, either way, it's gonna
True.
suck.
I
But
think that's the point of Would You Rather.
yeah. So far, we all like. Well, John likes chewy. You like crunchy?
Chewy.
You like chewy. You're for crunchy.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay,
I'll
2 for
defend
chewy,
it.
2
I'll
for
defend
crunchy. And I all of us want to be thrown into a pit with a calm lion.
Yes. Let's
Okay.
move on.
And
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's move on.
okay.
Let's move on.
So, would you rather turn into a 90-year-old right now or die in
Die.
24 hours?
Oh, that was
Die.
such an easy answer. I'd rather die.
Turn into a 90-year-old. Okay, so if I turned 90, would I have like memories?
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna ask. Would you have like memories of?
Or would I
things
just
that you
wake up
did?
tomorrow, be 90, and be like, oh well.
Have just like a 70.
Yesterday I was
Something
here.
your age,
Yesterday
yeah.
I was here and now I'm 90. Like, no.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I would just
mean,
rather die either way.
You know what? Yeah, let's say die.
but if I had a countdown clock on my life, if someone told me you're dying in 24 hours, that last 24 hours would be wild.
I would.
So
What could you do in this damn
So
town?
many
Contracted Binghamton or something.
I would do so many drugs. I feel
yeah,
I'd,
I
st-
don't know.
I'd,
Die
I'd
like
steal a
high on
plane.
cocaine
I
and
don't
meth.
know. Yeah, like do everything.
we're gonna die overdosing
wrong.
on pot.
Do everything so wrong.
I would just steal a plane
Yeah.
and go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we'd just go steal a whole bunch of stuff, break into some houses.
Yeah. Maybe kill some people. I don't know.
Yeah.
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 'Cause who's gonna? You're about to die. Who's gonna
Yeah.
get you? Who's gonna get you?
Alright, what do we got next?
So this is a UFO question. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this.
Okay.
Would you rather these UFOs that we keep hearing about? Would you rather them be humans from the future or beings from another planet?
Beings from another planet.
Yeah, probably beings.
Time travel is
'Cause
scary.
I'd rather
what
be
was the question?
surprised about.
Would you rather the UFOs that the government released, like the Pentagon released, whenever? Would you rather them be humans from the future or beings from another planet?
Beings.
Beings from another planet.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
I don't want to see what the future's gonna be like until
Mm,
it happens.
that's
I do,
yeah,
but
that's
I
fair.
don't.
Well, it's like
Like yes, but I don't want to like. If I know and it's something like tragic, I wouldn't want to like be because that's all I would think about.
Mhm. Well, and that's what happens in like, you know, most shows where people go and mess with time is that they see the future and they try to prevent it, and then that's what, you know, leads them to that
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah. Depending on, you might have to cut this out, but depending on what the future looked like, I might end up like killing myself. So.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Thanks for the warning.
I don't know. Yeah, trigger warning.
I don't know. I feel like if they were beings from another planet, why would they be manned? Like, I feel like they would be drones. We can't put people on Mars, for God's sakes. Like, that's too far of a journey. And
But,
they need to be like properly aligned the planets and everything. So I think they would just be
Like,
pilots.
and, like, the
or not pilots, drones.
the thing is that like, of all we've explored, the closest a possible like external being would be is like thousands of light years away, which means
And I
because
feel like. Continue your thoughts.
well, I was gonna say
sorry.
like unless they're traveling at like 1,000,000 times the speed of light,
Mm-hmm.
they're taking forever to get here.
Well, oh, you had something to say.
I feel like our like universe is so big. We cannot be the only like living things.
Yeah, definitely.
Like when
I
you
don't
think
even know how
about it,
big
that
the
is
universe
like I don't how many
Well,
planets are there?
there's
Are
literally
there-
like they found like microscopic life
This
on
could go
Mars.
so deep.
Yeah.
I want to
It's
talk
so-
about.
So and like people who don't believe in aliens and like stuff like that, like I understand, but yeah, I
Outside
say
planet.
alien loosely.
As in like something other than what we know. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way. That doesn't make any sense.
Well, think about black holes for a second. Scientists think that there's one of them in each galaxy. So maybe these aliens, or yeah, let's say aliens, they figured out how to transport through these black holes from galaxy to galaxy. Because if there's, you know, a black hole in every galaxy, then you can harness that and, you know, have like a GPS of a sort for the universe, and black holes will be a very good way of transportation around the galaxy, but we don't know what's on the other side of them because we can't get back. That's the problem.
My brain hurts.
But yeah,
I know this got deep.
this is what happens when you talk about aliens, man. It's just like
It's like an addicting topic to talk about.
yeah, it is.
Because there's no clear-cut answer.
Well, here's a segue. COVID, it's a thing. Hopefully not for much longer, but it started all in Wuhan in late December. And the story on how coronavirus like actually came about, it's kind of murky and, you know, it's...
I actually don't know this, so I'm
Yeah.
intrigued to know.
So at the time of this recording, we still haven't had a proper investigation into the real origins of this stupid virus, but there's a super lab in Wuhan, and they said it was from people eating bats, but
That's what I heard, but I don't know what that means.
a very popular theory is that it was leaked from the lab, because this lab takes viruses and makes them bioweapons. It's they make it more susceptible to humans, so, you know.
Really? Why would they?
But because China, I don't know. But you know, Daddy Trump was in office, and it was kind of a weird thing.
When I was researching the United States, the website that had a timeline of all of this is literally the
All
whole
Trump?
thing was bashing Trump
Really?
and saying all, like, not like bashing.
Yeah.
I don't want to say
Like it was-
that,
like it was-
but it was like just listing all the things that he was doing, and like there's one part, it says the Trump administration reportedly bans the CDC from using the term evidence-based and science-based. Like in the beginning, this was like sometime at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah. This.
Like before we got quarantined and stuff.
Yeah, so like January, February.
It
around
was
there.
like, oh, you can't. Like this is just reportedly. So
Mhm.
it might not be true, but also could be true. But like he said that you couldn't use things like that. I'm like, what are we basing this on then? Like
Who knows?
if it's not evidence or science based, what is this
Well, it's-
pandemic virus? What are we basing this on?
yeah, the White House was in no shape or form to
Yeah.
deal with this, but he did. He didn't do it. But there was a thing with Trump that like everything he said, everyone else automatically said and thought the opposite. So he was always like, "Oh, it's the China virus. It came from the labs in China." And
Yeah, and the
so,
way he used to call it that, and like
yeah,
the way he did throughout the whole of the time he was a president during this pandemic,
Mhm.
like
It was the
that's
China
all-
virus.
That's what he referred to it like, just about all the time.
yeah, and so it was never given a proper investigation because Trump said it, and we don't want to give Trump influence because why would we want to do that?
Yeah.
When the World Health Organization did go and investigate, they did a very surface investigation, and it was like Chinese people that were like, or like it was Chinese CDC workers that not CDC, World Health Organization people that were paid.
I think some people, when I was reading, I think some people from the United States were also sent over.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know if this is 100% true or not, but when I was reading, I think I remember it being like people that went were like concerned
Yeah.
with the way that things were going in the United States about like how it was like being taken care of.
Yeah, and the thing is that we're not in charge. Like, we don't have any say in what China does as Americans. Like,
Yeah.
we can't tell them what to do, really, and which sucks. I mean, but I'm not alone when I say that the investigation wasn't good enough. The Director General of
Yes.
the World Health Organization has come out and said that it wasn't extensive enough. But
Yeah.
Okay, I'll just keep going then. So the investigation team that went to Wuhan made a list of possible origins of coronavirus, and they tiered it from most likely to least. And the story that has pushed the most, and that we probably all heard, is that it was spread from people eating bats, and most likely from animals and bats on Chinese reserves, and homies just ate it. But the second most likely is that it went straight from bats to humans. Sorry. According to the WHO's international team, COVID is spreading from frozen foods is more likely than leaking from a lab. So they're saying that the pizza that you pick up, the freaking DiGiorno's you get from freezer aisle, that's the reason you got COVID, but not this super lab that's in the place that it originated.
Yeah.
It's delivery.
Well, it's like
It's not the.
And then underneath
have
that,
no idea
it
what.
goes frozen foods, and
not
then the
delivery.
lab leak.
I hate frozen pizza.
I feel like the lab leak.
It is really bad.
I think that it's very possible that it wasn't the lab, but I only say this is because like it's a lab. Like what they do there is so like
Strict, yeah.
like strict.
And-
like
and kept
how
under
would
covers.
something get out like that? How would something that could cause a global pandemic?
Because they've been
Get
cited
out.
for not following the proper safety.
Okay, so then there you go.
It's like in 2016 or something like that. It was cited that they're not doing it right, and people were getting infected by things, and it just wasn't a good thing at all. But over here in America, when
It sucked.
yeah, it sucked.
Our response sucked.
It was late.
When I
and
was
crappy.
looking up the United States, like what was our response to COVID, I got things like how the U.S. failed, what they did wrong. Nothing was positive about the things that was said.
Well, America's media is never positive anyways, so.
You're right. But like
Maybe
I wasn't surprised to
Yeah.
see that. But I never thought about this before, but when I was looking, it says in like 2016, 2017, well 2016 when it was going from Obama to Trump for the presidency, there was like a transition
There was
team.
a
that-
pandemic playbook,
The
Yes,
joint
there was a
Obama-Trump.
playbook.
Yeah, I have the quote
Yeah.
right here.
And
and Trump just threw it out.
the Trump administration. Oh wait, hold on, pause. I just got too excited and missed where I was going.
Okay, there was a
Um,
Trump playbook. Or no, there was a
there was-
pandemic playbook.
Yeah,
but
that
then
was-
Trump disregarded it.
Yeah, he completely ditched
He didn't
it.
want to pay for the employee.
Yeah, and I never realized, like, obviously pandemics were a thing before this, but, like, it was never something I thought about. So when I was seeing that, like, 2016, 2017, they were talking about this pandemic playbook, I was like, okay. And it was, like, all these plans, which,
I have the key takeaways from these exercises,
why
and
don't you go?
it was the joint Obama-Trump administration, and they had done these exercises on pandemic preparedness. And I guess the key takeaways were a collective understanding of the science and the disease. You need to build as much lead time as possible,
Yep.
and you need to make sure all of everyone needs to be coordinated and unified at a national level. You're never gonna get that. And medical countermeasure strategy is you need that ASAP. That's the key. And then including social distancing and addressing shortages in ventilators and personal protective equipment.
And when I also saw that, and as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's so funny that is like one of the biggest
yeah.
things that was happening. Like when the first outbreak, this all happened, we were missing personal protection equipment and all those ventilators that we needed.
Yeah.
He cut those off, and like some like the what is it called when you like they had them stored somewhere, I don't know, like for this in case of an emergency like this.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And then it got like canceled. The thing to check and that made sure that they were working and functioning it just got canceled or whatever. So they were never checked.
Said something
I don't know
on
what
Twitter,
the word for that
got on the
is.
next day. I don't know. Got canceled on Twitter.
They were like they just were forgotten about. Like, oh, we will never need those, so there's no point to check them and make sure they're working.
That's so
But then
bad.
that's what we're losing. Like that's what is not working.
And I remember, like, here in upstate, like, all the ventilators, all that stuff was being removed from upstate and brought to the city.
Yeah, because
And
there
we
were
were-
so many cases there. Yeah.
And, like, we had, like, nothing up here.
New York City got hit so hard by this pandemic, and,
And
it
it makes sense, because that's, like, the biggest port city in the world. One
Well-
of the biggest in the world. Biggest in the country, for sure.
We have a spicy TikTok that we're gonna play here. Oh, this guy pretty much just embodies New York. He is what everybody is.
Oh, I know what video you're showing.
Wait, I didn't watch it. I want to see.
I watched it.
You don't talk to me.
Don't talk to you?
You talk to me, you want.
Oh, I can talk to you?
Go ahead.
How long have you lived in New York?
I'm eating an ice cream cone now.
You're eating an ice cream cone right now?
Yeah.
I want the ice cream cone.
I'm not getting my ice cream cone.
Like, why not?
No, New York's not dead. I'm here. I'm Blockchain J. I'm closing the banks. Get your Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, Polkadot, Zaliqua. I don't know, Binance. I mean, goodbye. Love you all. See.
Look at you, I love it.
Yeah,
New York is interesting.
it is a very interesting place, and
I mean, my ice cream cone.
You can't have it.
it's Block Breaker J.
Bro, have some chocolate.
chocolate chip.
Chocolate.
That video's so good. Oh, I actually.
Wait, is that the video of Joe Biden? And then somebody was like, "What kind are you eating?"
Chocolate chip.
That's the best thing.
What do you say to Republicans? They should eat some chocolate chip. It's so golden.
I remember I saw that video and I was looking through the comments and there's
Oh,
so
sorry,
many
I kicked
Republicans
that.
just pissed like, really, this is how he responds. We are in a crisis. And he
Shut
asked a serious question and
They
he
didn't
says
give a shit
chocolate,
until.
chocolate chip.
They
Yeah.
didn't give a shit until then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro's gonna come with really
Oh,
debunking.
wait till Ben hears about this.
Destroying Joe Biden's latest chocolate chip video.
And then he disappears. What else we got on COVID here?
I feel like while we're talking about the presidency situation, I thought this was funny.
Okay.
When I was looking at this timeline, it said something along the lines that the Trump administration was. Oh wait, I keep reading the same line over and over again, and not the same thing. Okay, it says almost everyone on Trump's administration around this time has either been fired, resigned, or one was said awaiting criminal trial.
Wow.
So,
that is embarrassing.
I just like there was like I want to say like 5 or 6 maybe people who didn't have anything like next to the name, but
Mhm.
most of them were like fired, resigned,
That's tough.
about to go to jail.
Ugh.
Quoted, but it says almost everyone on Trump's administration has either been fired, resigned, or one even says awaiting criminal trial. Slightly scary.
It's embarrassing, honestly.
It is very embarrassing.
The fact that he
yeah.
picked that administration and like.
And now almost all of them.
Good riddance,
are not in
honestly.
there.
Like
Yeah.
2016 to 2020 was kind of just like a
That's
mess.
who you want running your country.
Right? Yeah. Criminals.
Yeah.
I love it.
People awaiting criminal trial. Nice.
But the virus hit hit America around March of 2019. The first reported case in Wuhan was December 31st of 2019. And by the end of March in 2019, 32 of the 50 states were in complete lockdown.
Wait, March of 2019 or March of 2020?
March of 2020. Yeah, that would be it. I'm sorry.
I think that so. Mine says so. January 2019, the intelligence community's worldwide threat assessment warns the U.S. that if there was to be a global pandemic, they would be very vulnerable.
Mhm.
And
I saw
then-
that organization.
Less than a year later, at the end of 2019, November, December, the U.S. is warned about this out-of-control disease from Wuhan, China.
Yeah.
So we first find out about this. I don't know the exact date, but I have November, December 2019.
Okay.
And then in January, the World Health Organization gives guidance to other countries about the fact that they need to like respond to this and know what to do if it was brought and was a potential really big threat.
Gotcha.
And then Trump ignores the warning.
Of course he does, because the economy's booming. If this pandemic did not hit, Trump would still be in office. The economy was doing so good. Gas prices were amazing. Food was food prices were down. Like everything was down, and he was doing a really good job at an economic standpoint. And I'll give him that. But he was just a terrible person.
Also,
You can't have that.
like, based on, I've heard, I don't know, I haven't done research on it, but, like, the economy it's like a pattern.
Yeah,
And
fluctuates.
it fluctuates, yeah. And so a lot of people think the economy is going to, like, not much movement
That's true. Yeah.
from what I've heard.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one to sit here and defend Trump. So.
And you guys remember when?
Yeah,
You guys remember when Trump got COVID?
Yes.
Like, he managed to recover.
Yeah,
had
like a
this
day.
down.
Hello.
I
Like,
remember
like
it says after Trump gets COVID-19, he says he is immune and feels so powerful.
If
No,
Donald Trump,
I remember he gave a speech and he's like, those doctors gave me some really good stuff. I can't say what it is, but they gave me some stuff and it got me fixed right up.
Yeah, he was
Donald
like in the hospital on like getting oxygen for like 4 days.
Jeez.
if Donald Trump lived in like a low income area, if he was poor, he would not have survived because
He literally got the best medical treatment in the world.
He's overweight. He's old. Like he just.
He had all the comorbidities. He would have been toast.
But then, can I actually have my phone? Because I took pictures of
There's
something.
there's a theory that he didn't actually get it and he got it and recovered quickly to prove to people, hey, you know, I'm an old fat man and I was fine. This isn't a big deal.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe that, but
I mean, it doesn't sound.
it doesn't sound super far-fetched, but you also have to
Yeah.
keep in mind he literally had the military
Yeah.
fixing him up.
Literally, yeah.
And
He'd
he
never wear a
kind of
mask.
like basically hinted that he got some like super secret potion stuff.
Probably from Russia.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And he never.
He was friends with Putin.
Yeah, he's
Like,
the
he
best
never wore a
guy.
mask. People at rallies and no one would wear a mask. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
He's a Trump.
After so October 2020 was when he got COVID, and it was like a outbreak in the White House, and like 200 people, about 200 people were exposed to him and the people that were infected in the White House, but they wouldn't let the CDC contact trace. So those like 200 people that could have been exposed weren't like quarantined or anything because he said it wasn't necessary. Like the White House
I
was like, oh no,
I was
you don't
listening to
need
my favorite podcast, the Joe Rogan
So,
Experience.
yeah, I was just gonna say plug him right now.
Shout out, you know, come on,
Link in
come on
bio.
down. Yeah, no, he doesn't get our, but he was saying that there were not hospital workers, hotel workers that would, you know, be a hotel worker and then go get COVID and not feel anything, and then go down the street to the restaurant and, you know, have a drink or get lunch and spread it to everyone in the restaurant and come back and work and spread it to everybody in the
Yeah, but
hotel.
certain people react differently. Like some people react like nothing to it,
Some people don't even know.
and then other people go absolutely apeshit.
Yeah, my brother, when we had our lockdown in my house, it was New Year's Eve, and my brother didn't show any symptoms at all. Me, my dad, and my mom got it pretty. We were down bad, but yeah, he was just vibing.
Yeah, I've been exposed to COVID 3 times, and I haven't gotten it. Like, I'm sure I had it
At some point, yeah. You just got the antibodies.
I remember, like, I don't think this is totally reliable, but I remember, like, the end of 2019, I feel like a whole bunch of people got really sick.
Yeah, no, I was gonna
Yeah.
say something about
And
that.
I don't, like, nobody is for sure that it was COVID.
But like
but,
at
like,
the time they couldn't diagnose it. They didn't
Yeah.
test it.
Yeah.
One of my friends got hit with that, and he got all the symptoms of it. He was sick for 2 weeks, but the doctor
well-
couldn't tell him what it was.
Emily mentioned the flu. Can we just talk about how there's been like no cases of the flu this year since we've started taking actual precautions? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I feel like especially in the stores, especially in the winter, I'm still probably wearing masks because
Yeah,
Yeah.
and people are like, now that everyone's
Yeah.
getting their vaccines and stuff like that, you don't need to wear them. But I'm like, I'm scared.
right, like
I
That's
think
such
masks
a
are-
big
we're gonna be
change.
like, it's gonna be like in Japan where masks are a completely normal thing.
Yeah.
Japan was ahead of the times. You saw those BTS stands wearing masks in Japan.
Yeah.
2 years
they've been
ago.
wearing masks in Japan for years.
it should be normal. Like I get not wanting to do it during summer.
I don't agree with that though, because it is, goddamn, it is right now 85 degrees, 79 degrees, whatever.
As long
But
as we're not in a pandemic, I don't think it should be mandatory. We're getting vaccinated. I completely support that. But like,
Yeah.
it also shouldn't be this like completely like weird taboo like thing that nobody does. Like,
Yeah.
if you have a cold and you need to go to the store,
wear a mask. Yeah, be safe.
And that's very smart. And I'm like, now that we have been wearing masks, I'm like, this was so disgusting.
I know, right?
You're like, I was breathing
Water
in
fountains,
and,
yeah, oh my
like,
God.
touching all these germs and gross shit. Sorry, this gross stuff, and I just can't believe like that's how we lived before going to restaurants and like
Oh, you didn't know COVID doesn't exist in
buffets
restaurants.
and
You know,
stuff.
Once
like
you
that.
sit down, it
you
goes
sit down,
away.
it's gone, yeah.
Can't get you.
So gross thing about restaurants is you're eating from a fork that's been used by like hundreds.
Yeah,
Like concerts. I love concerts. I'm gonna
Me-
go to
yeah.
concerts.
Oh,
I'm so
concerts are gonna be
excited
so
to go back to
fun.
concerts, but they're also really nasty.
yeah.
Yeah, just don't hit a stranger's car.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. I was
Oh,
like,
that was just me then. That's where I got gross from, is sharing drugs at concerts, because that is gross.
Oh yeah.
Don't do drugs, kids.
Or like yeah, like festivals and stuff. Like you,
Yeah.
real,
Do you realize
when
that
you're
like
like
the teachers
smothered
that watch
in.
has a mandated reporter? Ridiculous.
Okay, then cut it out.
Mandated reporter. What'd you say?
I said don't do drugs.
No, you said that that's how you got sick by like doing food drugs. Never mind, I'm just gonna.
Oh, I think he was saying that
In a concert setting.
in a concert setting, like
The grossest thing you can do is.
Listen,
Whatever.
Yeah, you might want that.
You're gonna have a lot of work to
that's
do,
it for a
Joe.
long I got
Anyways,
I kept taking pictures of stuff that I didn't write down.
here's a fun fact. New York City was the worst. Well, not New York City. New York State had the most cases nationwide in March.
But it
And
was focused more in the city, though, right? Yeah.
And like I remember like probably like late September, New York was doing like probably the best in the world. Like remember
When?
our cases got super low.
When?
Down
Oh
to,
yeah.
Like it was like in fall. It got down to probably like 10 cases
like
a
the
day.
summer.
was
That's
that when
Florida was
Cuomo did his freaking nursing home shit? He fudged the numbers?
Way
Because he
after.
did do that.
That was like way after.
Was it?
But like yeah, in like fall it got super low, and then it started picking up again.
Well, because that's how it just rolls. It always kind of looked like that. We had like 3 waves.
Yeah, because it gets low, and
Yeah.
then people start to loosen their what they're doing, and then just go back up.
Yeah. Some dumbasses
We're
had
in,
a party with
like our
400
third
people.
wave right now.
hmm I feel like it's been a lot better though since summer came and the heat wave and you know.
Well, that was the thing. Trump was like, "Oh, it's gonna go away with the summer. The heat will kill it
Well,
off."
but
Yes, I wrote that down.
Fast
well,
forward to us not even being in school.
It's
a single day.
We're literally like a year and a half later, and we're still.
we're just getting the outside mask mandate lifted for
Yeah.
gym class. Like, are you kidding me?
I feel like the vaccine will
It was.
Yeah.
It was fast,
It
but
was
you know,
very
lot of
fast.
that moment. Let's look at the national debt calculator because I feel like it'd be funny to me.
So in February of 20, oh wait, so in January 28th of 2020, there's a top secret meeting that says this global pandemic is like this was in the beginning before we were even quarantined, and I think this was before it was even considered a pandemic. It says this is the biggest national security threat of Trump's presidency.
Oh yeah, for sure. He could have had a
And this-
shot if this didn't happen. He just handled it
Oh,
like a
It was-
freaking
it-
toddler.
It was handled right at the source and right when it came here, and we got it under control. And like they followed those guidelines that he dismissed so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the effect wouldn't have been as harsh as it.
The big
played
issue
out to
was
be.
he didn't set a good example. He wasn't a good role model.
Mhm.
You're right.
He just told everyone to relax and not worry about it.
You
Yeah,
know
he's
what
like it's
Biden said?
totally under control. And then in February he says, I think it's going to work out fine. I think when we get into April, the warmer weather, that has a very negative effect on this type of virus. But this type of virus, like, with what evidence? If we can't use evidence-based, like, how
Yeah.
do you know that?
Oh, because he can. He's the president of the
Yeah.
freaking United
And
States,
it's
man.
just like he just has.
This is recorded in a barn, by the way. I don't know if we mentioned that. This is an old red
I'm pretty
barn.
sure they'll be able to tell from the video.
No, this is actually my house. This is my couch. This is where I sleep on the
He
table.
sleeps on the table.
Not the couch. The couch
The
is.
blankets and pillows are actually underneath the
Mhm.
couch.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
all an elaborate scheme.
So- January 2020, the U.S. announces its first case of COVID-19, and Trump says,
Bro.
quote, totally under control. And then I put ... right after it.
So it was absolutely not under control.
So that was a fucking lie.
He's like, I think this is going to work out fine. Going into April, the warm weather will clear all this this
like
virus
magic.
that isn't evidence-based or scientifically based.
It's not killing people as we speak.
No.
And then
Um,
of course the killer hornets pulled up.
Oh my
Yeah, I
god.
remember
That
that.
did
I was like, shit, we're gonna die.
Yeah, like I hate
Like,
bees.
we're
I
just
can't.
getting real bad things
Yeah.
one after another.
Yeah.
2020 was a great year.
It was supposed to be the year,
That was
and
the year-
then
dude,
it
was the year
sucked
I was gonna go to
ass.
Spain. I was
Yeah.
gonna go to Spain
Yeah,
that
everyone
year.
was like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
I was supposed to
new
go to
decade.
Spain, like, for a school trip.
I was gonna
Really
I had
starting to roll in
concerts to go
2020.
Yeah,
to.
really? 20?
I had things to do.
Yeah, people to see.
I had so many plans in 2020,
Could
and
explore.
none
I
of them
didn't.
happened.
I feel like a lot of people did because it's the start of a new decade.
Yeah,
But
I
Roaring 20s were off to a good start.
yeah.
no.
So March 11th, COVID is declared a global pandemic, and then that's when so March 16th was when we went into quarantine. Well, I remember. So that was my mom's birthday. We
Well,
went out to
'cause
dinner,
March-
and then a couple
March
days
13th.
after is when everything started shutting down.
March 13th was like the last normal.
That
day
was
of
a
confinement.
Yeah.
historical day.
And then the
Uh,
fall, because that was a Friday, because Friday the 13th, and then the following Monday, that's when
Oh
school went
yeah.
online. Because I remember pulling
Because
up to
we
school.
had like a 2-week notice, and everyone was like, okay, we're gonna go to school for these 2 weeks, and then we're done. And the first thing in my mind that came, like, I didn't realize
Break.
the severity of this. I didn't want to not go to school. I was like, it's Spirit Week. We
Well, like,
can't miss Spirit Week.
my worry was that they would push the last day of school back, because that's what like Senora Carey was saying.
I was so scared that I was like, this is supposed to be so good. Why is this happening? Why are we not going to school? I was like, but we'll be back in 2 weeks, so it'll be okay. But then fast forward a year and a half later, we still are like,
We still got people on.
we're still in this mess. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to school online, we're wearing masks everywhere,
I
which
don't-
is nice. I don't
Our
mind.
schools in California are even open right now. I feel in California. Do you have anything written about California?
I don't.
Because they are ruling with an iron fist. They're like just using the fear factor as like just keeping everything shut down. In California, a mess right now. Nothing's that's not
Which
gonna
it's,
recover.
and I feel like it's smart to keep things shut down, but maybe in March when this was first coming, if everything like, so let's fast forward
I was
to
like
another
thinking about it though.
country.
You can never have a true lockdown because someone's got to enforce it, which means someone's got to go out of lockdown to enforce others to lockdown
I
and interact
just
with other
think
people.
that-
Well, before we started shooting the podcast, I told you about Colombia and how the narcos were doing it in small villages. They saw someone without a mask outside, you're dead. Like, it's that easy.
But
They never got any COVID. Ooh, crazy.
Yeah, true. But there's always that risk factor that when they go to kill the person coughs or something. Now that narco has it. He gives it to other narcos without knowing. Boom.
Because it's so like hard
They
to
had
detect
snipers,
because
John. The
you're,
snipers
like,
aren't like doing 360 no scopes right in front of them.
Why are we even talking about Narcos? Wait, is this a what? What even is that?
Narcos is the drug
What
trade
even
in
is that?
Colombia. It's the drug. I watched one episode of Narcos and okay, I think I know everything about it, but no, it's.
So did this actually happen, or did it just
Yes,
happen in your
Pablo
TV
Escobar.
show? Okay.
Yes, it actually happened.
I feel like
70s.
that's one of the other extreme. I just think that like there were other countries that handled it really well that didn't do it to that extreme.
Melbourne.
Yeah, like Melbourne, I
North
have.
Korea handled it great.
So
Can I just say
yeah,
that?
Melbourne.
North Korea had one case, and now they're good.
Yeah, they can.
New Zealand is literally having concerts, raves, and shit like that now.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I want to
the
go to a
heck?
rave. Let's pull up the New Zealand road trip.
Like
Let's go
everything.
for a swim.
It's virtually normal there.
Yeah.
Like as normal as it's going to get after having a pandemic. That's what New Zealand
Well,
is.
it was pretty normal in Melbourne for a while until they
Yeah.
got another string of it
So
and they went
yeah,
right back down.
they first went into lockdown in March of 2020, had a second wave causing a giant lockdown in July. It was it was huge. Became the longest and strictest lockdown in the world.
Where is this?
This is in Melbourne.
Yeah.
So I read this article. It came out in November of 2020, so keep that in mind. They had 28 days straight with no new cases.
Yeah.
And this was November 2020.
Wow, that's
Right.
impressive.
And then I also read a thing where it said it was so strict that like they had these like giant apartment buildings that people were living in. They had police outside, like making sure that nobody was leaving. because it was that strict.
Well, what if they needed to get like groceries?
And that's what they had a system where they would bring groceries and then they would get put outside their doors. So like everyone was getting if they needed something, they were getting it because their government was helping them.
Oh my god. Hey,
I just heard like a flock of birds vibing over there. Once again, we're in a barn. So
Really? Yeah, we kind of left the doors open, so a couple of birds are just vibing in here. It's nice and it's cooler in here than it is outside. I don't blame them. But if they want to get the hell out, they can. Okay.
So Australia as a whole, moving on to that, I don't know how true this is, but it says cases never got over 1,000 with a population of over 25.
Weren't they also on fire from some of this? Like,
the heat kills the COVID.
yeah, the fires burning up Australia killed COVID.
Like exactly going back to the bad things happening all at once. Like,
Yeah, it was just-
killer hornets, pandemic, fires, killing koalas. WTF is all I have to say.
What? The
What the F? Oh, and that was without vaccinations. So
Yeah.
25 million people, only 1,000 of them. Only 1,000 cases.
Imagine what that does to someone's psyche though. Staying inside for however long.
And that was another thing. Things were going downhill mentally, but
Yeah, 'cause,
COVID-wise,
like-
things were going, woo, this is so great.
That was the thing about lockdowns, because like one of my friends was like, they've been locked down for like the past year.
They're still in lockdown?
Not anymore, but they were for a while, and like their mental state was going absolutely apeshit.
Yeah.
It was so bad.
It's tough.
It's hard because, like,
well, the thing is,
you-
we're social animals. Our brains are configured to want social interaction, and that's why with like solitary confinement prisons, where you're just locked in a room by yourself for 23 hours a day, the people go mad, and they suffer like permanent irreversible mental damage.
And it's hard because, like, people want this lockdown to, like, they want it to be strict. Like, we don't want this anymore. But, like,
You gotta
the
do
things
it
you have
to
to
get
sacrifice to get this gone is, like,
your freedom.
it's
pretty much.
crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone's situation.
Well, that's kind of a bummer. But Florida got it. And they were smart with that. Goddamn, they were.
Aren't
They
they
have.
like a international hospital?
At one
I
point,
was
they,
just gonna
at
say.
one point they were an epicenter. Yeah.
But I don't know. They have more elderly people per capita than anywhere else, and like once.
Because everybody's rich grandparents moved to Florida
Oh
when they
yeah,
retired.
definitely.
Yeah.
And I feel like once people started mixing germs again, they kind of just started the process of starting a natural vaccine, not a, you know what I'm talking
Herd
about,
immunity.
antibodies pretty much.
Herd
Yeah,
immunity is what it's called.
yeah, there you go. So yeah. Does anyone else have anything to say about COVID? Because I'm kind of over this. I hate COVID. It's such a fucking joke.
All right, shall we move on to alt-right
Wait.
pipeline?
Yeah.
All right.
Miss
I'll
Emily's
restart
topic.
I gotta take a leak.
that. Okay.
Pause.
All right, but now we're going to talk on the very heated topic of dress codes, which we have done some spicy interviews with Norwich High School students and teachers about, and the general verdict is
Dress code sucks.
they suck.
Yeah.
They are oppressive to women, and
Very sexist.
they sexualize women, and I don't think they do a good job of establishing professionalism. Because if you're talking about, like, professionalism, right? Why doesn't everyone just wear suits and professional attire every day?
If they're so worried about the dress code,
Like, this is a
Give
public,
us,
like, we're in a public school
what is it
setting.
called? A uniform.
Yeah.
If we're talking about professionalism, why am I able to wear sweatpants and a t-shirt to school?
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I feel like the conversation will be so much different if the reasoning wasn't, oh, it's a distraction. Like, if the reasoning was like,
Like,
oh,
that's offensive to men. Like, I'm
offensive
not,
to men and women.
yeah, I'm not offended. I'm not distracted by women's shoulders. What, I'm not
Yeah,
like
please.
some,
Like, are you distracted by my shoulders?
I am so distracted by your shoulders.
No.
And like, if I was at school right now and I went like this, they could dress code me because you can see underneath my hand.
Yeah.
no, and that's the other reason.
Well, I
it's-
think like
it's-
they
that's-
like the strap's supposed to be like this long.
That's the other reason it's weird. The dress code is weird because it targets like 11-year-old girls who just developed early.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Oh, you have boobs? dress code.
Oh, the teachers are gonna get distracted. The who?
Yeah.
Who's
No,
getting
it's so
distracted?
creepy though to think of like a middle-aged man dress coding a teenage girl because her
I can
clothes- No, but like the whole like it establishes professionalism reason is such BS. I'm
That's
sorry.
bullshit. Look,
Yeah,
look,
because like
look,
when
shit.
we're, I think I understand the professionalism point when you're getting addressed to teachers, but like when we are students and we don't have a choice to be at school.
Not to mention, in a public school in a lower income community, not everyone has professional clothes.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can't hold us to that standard when like this like we're here because we have to be. We don't have a choice while the teachers are getting paid to be here and they have a choice.
Exactly, and maybe this is
And
too-
like certain staff can't even afford proper clothing. What makes you think
Yeah.
all the students can?
And maybe this is too big of a jump from where we are in society right now, but like we have to remember professionalism is a social construct. We decide what is professional and what isn't. We
That's
can
very
change
true.
that. It
We
doesn't have
live
to
in a
be-
society, honestly.
We don't.
Come
It doesn't
on.
have to be what it is now. It can be whatever we want it to be, or it can be nothing. That would be great.
That
If
would
we
be
just
great.
wear what we want.
But I think, well, we had a teacher that we interviewed, and he had a really good, just general opinion, and I pulled a lot of quotes from this interview. He's a smart man, but he said that I think students should dress appropriately, but within reason. I mean, it is a professional work environment, but people should be allowed to express themselves within reason.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
talked about that like in my interview with Willow earlier. We were like, these teachers and the staff at the school preach kids to be themselves, like express themselves, but huge way, especially like today in today's society, people express themselves through their clothing. And when you're like holding us to like a certain like when you're holding us to that type of way, how are we supposed to feel comfortable expressing ourselves in that kind of sense when you're controlling us
Yeah,
like that?
The thing is, like, women aren't going to be sexualized because of their clothing. Women were sexualized when they wore gowns. They were sexualized explicitly when they showed their ankles. Like,
Yeah.
if like there was a time where if you showed your ankles, you were one of those women.
Yeah, it just changes.
So clothing
Also,
Or
doesn't.
like your neck and your shoulders, like
right. Also, these are literally our developmental years. Like these are the time. This is the time for us to like
be alive.
experiment with our
Especially because
with our
you know the rest
style.
of your life you actually have to be like professional.
Yeah, this is the
Productive
time to
and shit.
experiment with our style and like be who we are and like dye our hair like badly and
Be a
do-
blue-haired liberal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just do whatever you want. Like this is the time to do that. Like
but and
Yeah.
then they're like putting all these controls like and not necessarily our schools like heavily, but like private schools. I know you're signing up for a private school, but like if you go to a private school, like I remember
Yeah, no. Well,
When you were
like at Holy
researching things
Family,
about
they
Holy
just
Family.
have
Oh
really
God.
weird. The thing about
I
Holy
speak
Family
from
is
experience.
they're just so like random. Like if you're wearing a polo, the logo on the pocket sleeve or whatever, it can't be thicker than a quarter.
Did you know when I went to Holy Family, I was in 5th grade and we would all the middle school, like 5th through 8th grade, we would all have recess together. And at the end of recess, I'm not gonna name names, but the aides that would watch us during recess at the very end would line us up, check all of our socks to make sure they're not any color other than white, black, or blue.
That's so weird.
And then
That's
if,
whack.
if they
It's like a
were,
cult.
if we were breaking the sock dress code, we had to like wait behind and everybody got to go in before us.
Literally,
It was
so weird.
They would like pull us out of the crowd.
Segregation. Goddamn.
It was weird.
Yeah,
Like
it's
Segregation.
we're like 10 years old.
does it need I don't understand
like- that's
the
a big
need
Yeah, a
to
little
be that
bit.
strict.
Well,
Like why does it need to be so strict that the size of something on my shirt
I have
can't
never
be so
noticed
big?
the color of someone's socks, unless they're like those long socks. But
Yeah.
Did
I
they
just see it
provide
and
to you
I'm
socks, or did you have to buy your own?
buy your own. They don't
yeah,
care.
of course.
Yeah,
don't
if, I feel like
If you have
you're
enough
gonna,
money to go to that private school, I feel like they're like, oh, you have enough money to go buy your own.
Which is
the thing is like, if you're gonna enforce such a strict dress code like that, you should be providing that sort of
Yeah.
stuff.
They
Yeah.
might have. They
For
might have.
sure.
I wouldn't know just because I don't know.
You were
I
a little one.
I don't remember. I don't know. And I hate to like sound like privileged, but I never like needed that. So I don't know. But I don't know. If they don't, then they should.
Yeah,
Like
you should.
and I'm pretty sure the uniforms costed money. Like they provided the uniforms, we had to pay for them,
Yeah.
and they forced you to wear them. Like what the hell? That's so weird.
Well, anyways, going back to the dress code in Norwich, we interviewed a young man, and I enjoyed his entire interview, so I'm just going to read what I pulled. For his general opinion, he basically said that workplaces do have a dress code, so I think it should be taught in school. but school is all about teaching kids about the real world, so we should learn it, which is, a fair point. And he thought that in terms of severity, he thought that the dress code is managed poorly. And he said, and I quote, "The shoulders business is just ridiculous. But in all honesty, the short shorts are definitely warranted as, we can't have girls wearing short shorts that barely classify as a garment in school." He's spitting facts. And
Also, though, I feel like schools have such bigger things to worry about.
Mhm.
That is so true.
What do you
Like,
guys say?
are you really, is my, shorts that I'm wearing really that big of an
There's
issue
certainly
for
a
you
line.
Yeah, is it
you
that
need to
deep?
There's
s-
certainly a line,
Yeah.
but it's also such an extreme line, I feel
Right, and like
Mm-hmm.
most girls are not going to go to school with their ass hanging out.
And
Yeah.
I know what interview you're talking about, and the thing about women is they have more to show off.
Yeah, and
They
he
have
did
more,
say that.
so
I have
that's
that here
what
somewhere.
that's what such a that's why they're so targeted, and it's such
Yeah.
a bad
Like
thing.
women
Which
are
is
just
so sexist. Like,
women are just so over sexualized, and the thing that
Yeah.
sucks is like I said earlier, women who are who develop young will get sexualized at the age of 12 because they have bigger boobs.
I've seen a lot of cases where young girls are sexualized at such a young age, and then they grow up with such gender dysmorphia.
Yeah.
With such body dysmorphia
Yeah.
because they just
because
are
at such a young
treated-
age, they're affected by those things that everyone is saying about
Exactly.
their
Yeah.
butt and their boobs hanging out, even
Yeah.
if they aren't.
Like that's a child.
Like,
Yeah.
and having you
And you're
in
telling
middle
them
Need a
school, could you
reality check.
imagine being in middle school and someone saying that, your body that you're not comfortable with yet is distracting these
That's so
6th grade
that's
boys?
a terrible precedent.
Please.
Yeah.
That's a terrible
Anything is gonna distract 6th grade boys. All they're doing is thinking about sex
You
and
can-
Yeah.
that.
Once you
Like,
get to high school, though, I literally all the boys that we interviewed were like, "Yeah, we don't care. We're not distracted."
yeah.
And but it's just a matter of maturity, honestly.
And if there's a boy who can't help himself, he needs to be taught how to control
Right.
himself.
Exactly.
And not the girl be
Exactly.
in
Because
her.
there's nothing that we can do. I'm not gonna go chop my boobs off to satisfy the men in my school.
Exactly, and women can literally wear jeans, and guys will still look. at
Literally,
them.
no, literally
Yeah.
what I said earlier. You could wear a plaid skirt all the way down to your ankles, and historically they were still sexualized.
Like,
That's what prostitutes wore,
Yeah.
and they were still sexualized.
yeah, literally.
Your attire does not affect you being sexualized.
Yeah.
It's all about what's.
Well,
Yeah.
we also talked to another teacher, and she had some good things to say about the dress code. She thought that the dress code, they do have a time and a place, but it's very hard to enforce, and that it can be patriarchal and misogynistic, and they target females.
Because I think for
There's
guys,
no.
there's
I feel like there's no way you can prove that it's not misogynistic.
No.
because there's what
There's
the rules
no
for men
way.
are what you can't wear profanity on your shirt. No, no.
Well, I
crop
have
tops.
I have
No
I have a
hats.
quote of a guy who got dressed.
Then again, no hats is also kind of like a universal thing. I feel like.
Yeah.
Right, that doesn't affect anybody over anybody else, except for if we're talking about.
Although then
headwear
again,
in
more
general.
commonly boys in our school wear hats.
Yeah.
Right,
to an
but
extent.
but if we expand it to headwear in general, that does affect people of color disproportionately because they're not allowed to wear do-rags, they're not allowed to wear bonnets, they're not allowed to wear hijabs. They're not allowed to wear things that are part of their culture, and that's racist.
Well,
Yeah.
I have no problem with hats. I think that if a kid is in my room learning and is safe, I'm fine.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think one of the teachers proposed when you're in the hallway, take the hat off for the security cameras. Once
Yeah,
you're
which
once you're in
I
a room,
completely understand that from a security standpoint. Having no hats in the hallway is perfectly fine because that's keeping everyone safe. But in the classroom,
There's no cameras.
I don't think
anyways,
that's needed. Outside, I don't think that's needed.
But also, first of all,
They
we
let us
have to
wear
wear
hats outside.
we have to wear masks right now anyways, so they can't see our face anyways. And also, I know this is opening a whole new can of worms. But if school shootings are that bad in this country that we have to stop people from wearing hats.
That's such a big deal in itself.
Like, oh my God.
It's another case of trying to target something that's not the problem.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. That's a great
if
way
you're
to say
genuinely
it.
worried about danger.
Mental health it'll always go back to mental health.
Yeah.
We could fix so much stuff in this society if we just took I don't know, 10% of the military budget and put it towards mental health.
Literally.
And providing these people with the help they need instead of them being crazy and going out and saying, I want to kill record. I want to kill 19 kids today.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
And it all
just
goes
put them
back to
into
the
fucking
alt-right.
therapy.
Exactly.
All right, ties in
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it all comes back together.
It all comes back to Ben Shapiro.
I love
It
how
all comes
passionate
back
you
to
are,
our
Caden.
dad, Ben Shapiro.
Yep.
But I have an interesting quote
I love
from...
how that went from.
Yeah,
That
we
just
just
went
went
up
yeah,
and
100 to
back
0. Now I'm like sweating from that. I'm like, oh, anyways. But
No, that's another thing. Mental health is by no means prioritized.
no,
I feel
not in
like.
the slightest,
especially-
dude.
Everyone
And like
is
at,
mentally ill.
Everybody is, yes.
At school,
Everyone can
you
use
would
therapy.
think that they would have some sort of outlet.
And the
for
thing
us.
is, like,
and that is where we don't have
Rage
it
rooms,
at
bro.
all.
Literally just put free rage rooms around. Do you know
and
what that
like
is?
the thing is, everyone is insecure. Like everyone is insecure to some extent, and nothing is done about that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
And then, of course, you probably get more insecure because of a dress code.
Exactly.
Especially. It
And
all
you-
ties
yeah.
it back together.
Well.
And it's like being insecure about the clothes that you have, so you feel like you need to dress like more like those popular girls, and maybe they're wearing like shirts that you can see more, like shorter pants or shorter skirts or whatever, and then that's going back to the dress code.
But then in the whole other side of this loop, if you wear more revealing clothing, if you're not like, say you're not to the ideal size of a man, right? And you get called out for that, you get bullied for that. That is humiliating. That is awful.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
get called out in front of like a class.
Because like
Yeah.
so
that's
terrible.
not like
It's the
that's
worst
not like
feeling.
a crazy like I've seen it happen before, like where women are judged for the size of their breasts
Yeah, it's like they literally
or the
just,
size of their butt.
they literally just
like-
cannot help it.
It's like so heavily focused on
I
for
just
no
don't
reason.
understand what like brings people down to that level that they need, and I feel like it's just their insecurities peeking out.
It
But,
is.
like,
yeah. Hurt people.
yeah,
Yeah.
That was
there you go.
that was awesome. I mean,
That's great.
I have no idea. It's probably Joe Rogan, honestly.
bro, let me write that down.
Yeah, let's put that in a fortune cookie.
Yeah.
We just world peace, man.
Yeah,
World peace.
you
It all listen-
Just everybody
you
be
just
nice,
solved
lol.
misogyny.
Yeah,
you just
bro.
solved misogyny.
Like no, seriously though, it all ties into mental health.
Mm-hmm.
It all ties into a lot of things. Like, it's just so. It all ties into misogyny too. Like, it's just.
And honestly, I'm glad we're recording this.
Yeah,
I'm really
me too.
glad that
This
we're
is
going to
kinda
record this
dope.
for the school to see. I feel like this will we're either going to get laughed at or we're going to make change.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't care what.
Laugh
I
it
don't-
up. See
I
what
don't
happens,
care, I don't
man.
care if we get laughed at.
Watch,
because-
watch for episode 2,
We're all skinny as hell.
Subscribe.
Yeah,
and like for
really.
episode 2.
No, we're,
which will be
Yeah,
better
yeah,
filmed.
true.
Hopefully.
hopefully, yeah. Name dropped my boy Steven. He gave us this awesome, 15-second interview. It's the best interview we did all day. Thank you for that interview, Steven. You a G. He said, well, dress code doesn't make any sense. Girls are not a distraction. Hats, no problem. They dope. I don't care. I have no problem with the dress code. And that's it. And then Tanner said we should quote the whole thing.
We should.
So here
that-
we are.
yes, here we are.
Hats are dope. Hats are dope.
Yeah, hats are dope.
Recording.
I was thinking of the hat thing, and like, you could say now, like next year, hypothetically, let's say, yeah, you can wear hats in the classroom, but not the hallway. Well, now, that's a whole other thing that's going to be enforced, and people aren't going to follow that.
Who cares?
But
not
it's
that
like-
deep to me. Like, I
It's
don't think
it's
about
It isn't
it
that
isn't
deep.
that
It shouldn't
deep,
be
but
that
like
deep. Everyone, what did he say? I have a quote. Basically, oh wait, I think everyone gets way bent out of shape over this first of all. And that's it. That's all I pulled from that. But I thought that was cool because everyone does get too bent out of shape about
it's just
this.
not that
I
deep.
actually,
Yeah.
I want to pull up my notes from a particular person I did.
I feel
I can't
like-
say one of the things because this is a PG video, sort of.
I know who this is.
Yeah, you know. What I'm
I
talking
feel
about.
like if we'll discuss this more in a little bit about like reforming / getting rid of the dress code. But I feel like if we got rid of the dress code fully and just didn't tell anyone,
no one would notice.
No one. Would
nobody would fuss over it. No one would
Because
care.
no one follows it.
Because
anymore.
literally.
nobody
When
follows
was
the
the
dress
last
And
code.
it's not
anyway.
enforced either,
No
like
one
except for
cares.
that one teacher we talked about, but that's probably cut.
One teacher we talked about that got cut.
Yeah, it's okay.
I follow it unintentionally because I literally shop in the men's section. Think about that. Like I follow it just by shopping in the men's section. Like that's weird.
And it's just like
That is weird.
if we just didn't have a dress code in general, I feel like people would be
I said
so
no
much more
offense, 'cause I said
comfortable
that
at
was weird. Sorry, I talked over
Okay.
you.
I know you're
Train
right.
men to control themselves instead of punishing women for their body.
You know,
That was great.
yeah, that was a good one.
That was great.
I don't know where I heard this, but it's really controversial. But I think it could work.
Let's see
So
what you
at
got.
birth, snip the
foreskin.
the sperm tube.
The foreskin.
The umbilical cord.
No,
The
the
umbilical.
thingy that makes
Oh, the vasectomy.
vasectomy. That's what you do.
Oh,
do
yeah.
that at birth.
You don't
and then,
want kids?
Hell yeah.
Have a vasectomy.
Hell yeah.
No, no.
All
Oh,
men
I see where you're
should
going.
have-
I
And
thought-
then when they
I
are
don't
deemed
want to
appropriate to
birth control because
Why is that
you
onus
don't
on us?
want kids.
Exactly.
Why is that onus on us? We can only have a child every 9 months. A man can produce a child like
Every
all the
2
time.
minutes.
Yeah, literally.
That was an exaggeration,
Not
but you
every
understand
Bro,
what
you're
I'm saying.
shooting,
Like-
shooting.
Maybe twice a day.
Oh.
Well, you know what's gonna
I don't
happen
know
with
anything
that?
about men.
Men aren't gonna like having their bodies controlled.
Exactly.
Which,
Yeah.
Exactly.
But then you think about it. How do you think that we feel
Yeah.
that we have
have
to
to
take
birth
birth
control, and it
we
screws
have
your
to
entire
cover
lives up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Birth control like
women's
makes
birth
people
control
can
is
make
so
people depressed.
damaging.
Yeah,
It
is.
is.
It's either you go on
And
the
again, going on birth control, back to mental health, it fucks people up horrifically
Yeah.
going on birth control.
like you can either go on the pill and have either your period completely messed up or your mental health shot, or have it be normal
happen.
on the side case. You could get an IUD, which is painful as hell. And there's
can
also
get
a
a
hormonal
shot.
version of that, which screws you up. You can get a copper IUD,
I
but
know,
that's.
all of these like things have like the worst side.
And you know what I read
Not
about
for
why
everyone.
they're not doing male birth control?
What?
I read that in the pharmaceutical industry, there's a rule that if the pain of getting whatever the medicine is greater than the pain of the thing is trying to prevent, they won't make it.
But if you did it at birth, like you pop them out and you just go in there, snip snap, they're already crying.
So like technically, because
but
technically,
like then you're never gonna
like-
you're not gonna be able to reproduce.
that's not true because you
can
can
take
get
a vasectomy.
vasectomies reversed.
Oh yeah, you can.
Have you never watched
reverse
The
it back
Office,
to
bro?
right. I don't
Michael
watch that.
Scott
like,
got like
the
the
3
thing with
vasectomies.
so like because like technically getting a girl pregnant doesn't do any physical pain to a guy.
Yeah.
But there's technically more physical pain to like either taking a pill, getting it, whatever they would do. And so that's why the pharmaceutical industry isn't working on it. There's like some startups on male birth
Kickstarters.
control, but they're not gonna. It's gonna be forever before we even see anything for men.
Right, and the worst,
Especially because so many men don't want to wear a condom.
and another
Wrap it
thing.
before you tap it, boys.
Wrap your
Another
willy
thing is
before you
that
get silly.
So many women, like, they want to get their tubes tied. They know they don't want to have kids, like,
Uh-huh.
whatever. They need
But
to get a
then
man to sign
I
off.
was just
That
gonna
is
say
that
that
is that
because
is.
That's
I
lame,
remember.
bro.
You have to get a
Yeah.
man to sign off.
You have to have your partner to sign off.
Yeah, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, you need to control my body that much that my significant other needs to say, like, oh, it's okay, it's fine with me.
Like, don't get me wrong, I 100% like don't think like if you're in a committed relationship with a man or
Like, you should
whatever,
discuss, but
You
you,
should discuss
don't
it.
need their permission.
you right like
you wanna
or,
do it, it's
or
your
if you're
choice.
single, like single people who know they don't want to have kids, like they should not have to have
And that's
a
what- and
male.
what
And
happened-
get
what hap-
questioned, the fact that they get questioned so heavily, like, are you sure this is what you
That,
want
I
to
was
do?
just gonna say that because if a lot of cases is the woman goes to the doctor to get a tube ligation, whatever they want, and the doctor's like, "Are you sure? Because you might want kids down the road. You never know, and you're gonna regret it." And it's like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's like,
Get
like-
it
F
if you're
you.
like 18 or like really young like that, but when you get to a certain age, it's like
Probably
It's,
easier to get
it is
plastic
my
surgery,
body.
honestly.
I will be making the decisions. Thank
Exactly.
you.
You know, like how unpopular having kids these days is, though.
Oh yeah,
Exactly.
no one wants to have a
that's
kid.
what I was telling my grandparents, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're so depressed." I'm like, "This just the world sucks."
Like, go
right now."
outside.
I honestly
I know.
like. I think like in the following decades, the amount of children that are going to be adopted is going to skyrise
Yeah.
because
Which
no
is
one wants
I
to
feel
fine.
like I'd much rather
I think is
adopt a
great.
kid than
Oh, yeah.
push one out
Oh, yeah.
myself. Thank
That's
you.
that's what my girlfriend says too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
is totally
which
fine.
I think
Like,
is
What
a,
else am I gonna have?
There's too many kids that don't have homes and like
They're already
Plus,
like,
have
we're
horrible
overpopu-
lives
we're
that
Just
would-
bring those.
overpopulated.
Yeah.
Bring those
Don't be
kids.
great. Don't put a kid into this world. Come on.
Really.
We started out talking about dress code.
and now we're talking about
This is
Talking about
just gone.
birth
This
control.
is,
now we're
you
talking
know,
about
this is
women's
really the
rights and
passion.
stuff.
This is really
Yeah.
a passion project.
Well, yeah.
It
this-
really
Yeah,
is because
yeah.
we're like really putting our opinions in there and getting really heated, like Caden yelled about
we
mental
said
health
we could-
earlier.
We could have 4 topics. Hell yeah.
Yeah, 4chan.
Yeah.
Dude, this next episode's gonna be insane.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know what? Next episode, we're just not even gonna set the topics. We're just gonna go and start
We're
talking.
We'll
Just start shooting
talking,
shit. That'd be
yeah.
so
Start
fun.
talking shit about a bunch of people in our school.
And just
not
blur out the
just
names
change
all
the
of
No,
them.
names.
not not being anonymous.
Just
We're
calling
gonna-
people
we're gonna
out.
spill the
Yeah,
tea.
Just
or-
get them on the podcast and
Yeah.
settle
Yeah.
beef. That'd be kind of dope.
We'll sit
Tell
them
me
down
right
right,
here.
here. And be like, you're fucking bitch.
Tell me why you
Just be like,
cheated
I
on
think
this
you're
person.
recording.
That is so.
Tell me about your 3 abortions.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I feel like this is a good spot to wrap up the first episode of the
Yeah.
Passion Fruit podcast.
If any school official, principal, teacher, whatever's watching this, thank you. Please don't get us in trouble for what we just said.
Yeah.
We said
Because
something.
we have a right to our opinion. Thank
we
you
have
very
we have
much.
a right. We have freedom of speech.
Well,
And we
Exactly.
also have evidence.
Yes.
Yeah.
For our
America.
Facts on
discuss
facts on
topics.
facts.
America.
But yeah, make sure you subscribe
Like and
and
There will be a
Right.
Share
second,
this,
there
share
will be
this
a
podcast.
second
Hell yeah.
episode very soon.
yeah,
Yeah,
let
we-
your friends know that us 4
This-
clowns are doing this.
This
Cause
was too fun to only have one.
right, yeah.
We should get paid for this.
We should honestly like.
Joe
I'm,
Rogan sponsor.
I'm
us.
very sad I'll be
We know you got
graduating.
that money.
Everybody go get your mom's
We'll just
credit
we'll
card
just do his little
and just
Zoom
give it to
call.
us.
I'm
Put it in the
very dude.
comments.
Like I'm so sad I'm graduating. We gotta figure out a way to do this while I'm at college.
Yeah, what the
Yeah.
hell?
This
You
is
can just
actually
fly
lit.
here, bro. Come on.
All right, this has been the Passion Fruit podcast.
He's not flying
Thank you
down
for
here.
watching.
Thanks for watching.
How do we end the podcast?
Bye,
Hold up.
bitches.